Okay, now let's look at the Z-axis assembly. You're going to have to put this together before you can assemble the gantry because the shafts of the Y-axis are in between the gantry posts and there's no way to slide this in place when the gantry is assembled. So this is really the first thing you have to put together. Here's the back face of what I'm calling the Z-axis. This is the plate that moves up and down and that holds your router, whatever router or spindle you choose. You're going to want to counterbore some holes in the back face of this, 3/8 in diameter, 1/4 inch deep. Here's the front face of the same part. So you can see that all these holes are 1/4 inch diameter. They go all the way through, including right there at the bottom where you counterbored in the back face. You're going to want to drill some 1/4 inch holes all the way through that because you're going to use that to connect the spindle mount. Now here's the bottom bearing of the Z-axis, and you're looking at the bottom face. Notice that you have a couple of holes in the edge of the part for machine screws. That's how we're going to connect this part to the Z-axis. And then the cross dowels. Then you have 3 through holes. One in the middle for clearance for the lead screw, and then the 2 outside holes are for the Z-axis shafts. And here's the top face of that same part. You can't see the cross dowel holes because they're only 5/8 deep, and we drilled those in the bottom face of this part. You're going to mount the Z-axis lead nut here. Refer to your dimension drawings for the hole pattern and location. Now here's the top bearing of the Z-axis, and you're looking at the top face. You have those holes in the edge of the part for machine screws, corresponding holes for cross dowels, and then you have 3 holes, once again 2 on the outside for the shafts, 1 in the middle to provide clearance for the Z-axis lead screw. This is the spindle mount. This is the part that will hold your router. You have a 1/4 inch diameter hole that goes all the way through. You're going to stick a bolt in here and attach a wing nut, and you're going to use that to clamp your spindle in place. A couple of 1/4 inch diameter holes you'll use to connect this part to the Z-axis. Now, this big hole, I've shown you in the drawings that this is 55 millimeters in diameter, but that's really going to be determined by the spindle or router that you choose. You can go a couple ways with this. You could purchase a spindle on eBay that can be controlled by the software, which will allow you to slow down or speed up the rotation or reverse it, which can be helpful if you want to drill and tap holes in plastic or metal. Another way you can go is to buy a laminate trimmer or a palm router like a Bosch Colt. If you do that, you're going to have to measure the router and drill a different size hole. And even the spindles that you can buy on eBay, they could be 52 millimeters in diameter or 55. You're going to want to measure your spindle before you drill this hole. Here's the top face of the Y-axis top. 4 holes to mount the motor. See your drawings for the location and the pattern. A couple of holes for cross dowels. And then you're going to drill a 2-inch diameter through hole to provide clearance for your motor coupling. Now here's the bottom face of the Y-axis top. A couple of 1/4 inch deep holes for the shafts. And remember to drill holes in the back edge for the machine screws that connect this to the Y-axis top. You can't see the cross dowel holes on here because remember they're only 5/8 deep, and we drilled them in the top face. Here's the Y-axis bottom. This is the top face. And I'm showing you the back edge. A couple of shaft holes, 1/4 inch deep. A couple of holes in the back edge for machine screws. And then a through hole, 1 1/8 in diameter for a radial bearing that will hold the bottom of the Z-axis lead screw. And here's the bottom face of the Y-axis bottom. Can't see the shaft holes because those holes are only a 1/4 inch deep, and you have a couple holes for cross dowels. Now I call this the Y-axis. This is the part that holds all the rest of the parts we've just seen. All these are through holes, 1/4 inch in diameter. Here's the right bearing of the Y-axis. You're looking at the right view or the outside view. You can see the holes in the edge of the part for the machine screws that connect this to the Y-axis and the corresponding cross dowel holes. You've got a hole to provide clearance for the Y-axis lead screw and a couple of 1 inch diameter holes for the Y-axis shafts. Now here's the left view or the inside view of that same part. You're going to put your Y-axis lead screw over this hole. Your drawings will show you the hole pattern. And here's the left view or the outside view of the other bearing, the left bearing. Got a couple holes in the edge for machine screws. You've got a clearance hole for the lead screw. Couple of shaft holes, and of course you have your cross dowel holes.